Parashat Ki-Tavo. Parashat Ki-Tavo, this is a very powerful, very special, very unique. So unique, there's nothing like it in the whole Torah. Why? This is the parasha of the Klalot. Klalot mean curses. There are two parashot of curses in the Torah. One in Parashat Bechukotai, which is in the end, the last parasha of the book of Leviticus, Vayikra, and this one. Now, Parashat Ki-Tavo, it says in the Talmud, Tractate Megillah, that it has to be read before Rosh Hashanah. And the part that has the Klalot, the part that has the curses, has to be read at once, from beginning to the end, without stopping. So the impact is the strongest. It's like, you don't dilute it. You have a bitter herb to something to drink. You don't dilute it. You don't divide it to different portions. You have to get it at once for the impact. So you think like, it should be scary enough. So you're going really to be excited and afraid enough, so you're going to make a difference and a change before Rosh Hashanah. But we have a little problem. What is the problem with that? Because this is very artificial. That's very superficial. Why it is superficial? Because we know people do not really change when you come at them with scare tactics. What happens to people when you scare them? They shut down. And when they shut down, did you see ever a turtle when you scare him? That's it. It's over. Now, talk to me. There's nobody to talk to. There's no hand to shake. There's no foot to pull. Nothing. You just see a big armor and nothing. People don't change when you attack them. If you raise a child, you have somebody you're working with, and you're attacking them and attacking them and attacking them, judgment is not, it's not an education. And the Talmud says it very clearly. Talmud says, there's a story, Talmudic story, I read it many, many times, that, Talmud is asking, how come 600,000 to be Jews, at that time they were Hebrews, or the children of Israel, or Mount Sinai, how come we said, Naseh v'nishma, we'll do and we'll listen? Why? Because 1,500 years later, 1,300 years later, the Talmud is asking, we know Jewish people. They don't say, can you do me a favor? First of all, a Jew will ask 1,000 questions before he say yes, right? That's not us. How come we said Naseh v'nishma? So the Talmud says, the Creator simply took the Mount Sinai, raised it, put it above our heads, and he said, if you receive the Torah, that's okay. If you don't, I drop it, and that's going to be your burial place. Po tiyeh kvuratchem. And the word is kafa alehem har kegigit, which is when you want to say in Hebrew, till today, that you didn't give them any option, you say kafa alehem har kegigit. He took the mount and he put it over them like a bowl, like they had no choice. They were stuck. And the word kafa has double meaning. One is like when you cover it, like with a bowl. Another one, kafa, is coercion. And whoever learns spirituality, whoever learns Kabbalah, knows there's no coercion in spirituality. The moment it's a coercion, it's not spirituality. If it is spirituality, there cannot be any coercion, right? It's like oxymoron. It's like two things that can't be in the same system. And that's why the Talmud said that lasted only 40 days. Of course, when you see the mount above you, and it's like, okay, we'll do it, we'll listen. Did really the Creator take the mount and put it above our heads? The answer is no. No. I explained it when we explained Parashat Ito. When the 10 utterances started to be heard, we all, as a nation, 2 to 3 million people, had an out-of-body experience. And the moment we got out of the body, the Zohar says we saw everything. We saw all the rules. We saw the wirings of the universe, the programming. We saw how everything is so wisely put together. When you know that, do you have any free will? Forget it. No free will. That was the meaning of kafalem hakigit. It was imposed on us because the power of the togetherness and the love and the sharing and the caring and the post-drama thing of getting out of Egypt and being like, we're free. You know, just put that together psychologically, you get this like the most amazing event in history. Will never come again. But the effect is still now, till today. Okay? But still, the Talmud says you cannot impose on people and expect them to carry on because people have this tendency to look for the place to be a creator in me, which means if I didn't achieve that consciousness, that state of mind on my own, it's not mine. You can't impose on me. You know, every parent knows you can't impose happiness on your child. You can't impose success on your child. The more you try, the more painful it will be. Surely it's going to come back at your face. You can't. You have like, being a parent or a teacher is like a ballerina. You have to walk on your tiptoes because the responsibility is so great. You just push them the wrong direction and they go off the opposite direction, right? You know that very well. It has to be so gentle. Why? Because parents are so much powerful. And you know, you have the tendency or the seduction to use that power. You know, I know what's good for them. No, you don't. Sorry, you don't. Why? We are not the creator. They have to create it on their own. And the only thing you can really give to your children is values. And to give them the faith they can do it themselves, and you have no idea what does it mean. And that's tough. And most parents fail by that. And when you start to coerce your truth on somebody else, doesn't matter if it is your spouse, your friend, your neighbor, your community member, and especially your children, that can be very painful. What can we do? What can we do? Now, achieving that needs a very important lesson, and that's what this lesson is about. Let's go into the parasha. Parashat Ki-Tavo cannot be understood before reminding us what we did in Ki-Tavo last week. Okay? And in Ki-Tavo, there were many mitzvot in Parashat Ki-Tavo, a lot of them. Like it's a pile. The Zohar starts with one, which was the most important. It's about that man marries a woman and he hates her. And the moment he hates her, he's trying to find out what's wrong with her. And he finds, people, imagination is resourceful. You can always, if you want to hate somebody, you will always find a reason. They are too tall, they're too short, they're too fat, they're too skinny, they're too stingy, they're too whatever. People are people. The moment your logic is like set free, you will find. Don't worry. You know that very well from your own life experience. Okay? Don't let that fool you. It started because you hate the person. And hating a person, we know that's very unhealthy for you. And we know the moment you hate somebody else, it's like you drink a cup of poison expecting somebody else to die. How does that sound like? Pretty foolish, right? And by the way, and also being hateful, it's known, I found out in medicine, if you're hating somebody else, your body starts to deteriorate in a very fast process. Not very healthy, not very wise. Yeah, but they did this and you have to choose life. This is what this book is about. The book of Dvarim, especially, you have to choose life. And hate is not life. Hate is dying with a lot of pain, okay, sooner or later. So, the moment, and the Zohar says the moment, but it's not that you hate that person. It's worse than that. Because he says, because he badmouthed Betulat Israel. What's the problem with that word? If it said Betula me Israel, a virgin from the nation of Israel, we'll understand it fits the story, but it doesn't say, it says Betulat Israel. Betulat Israel says it's an expression that means the Shekhinah, the divine presence, the creation. When you hate that woman and you try to badmouth her, you're badmouthing the creation. First thing, you marry a woman, don't like her. You know what Rabbi Azaklori is saying? When you marry a woman, or you marry a man, it's like, you marry someone that's the best person for you at the moment. Why? Why did you get together? You think you chose? Science in the last few decades is starting to show us what's the art of making choices. We're basically robots. We think we make a choice, but no, we don't make it. We are being fooled, and we're fooling ourselves so well. We think we make a choice, but if we have a very good friend that knows us very well, he would know what are the choices we're going to make. So if somebody knows what choice we're going to make, do we have a free will? No. We're simply programmed to make those choices. How can I change the program? When I choose, we have one choice. On, off. Light, darkness. That's the choices. Hakol bidei shamayim chutz mirat shamayim. Everything is in the hands of heavens, except for the awe of heavens. The moment, not fear, awe. What is awe? It's knowledge, wisdom, and love, and respect all together. That's the word awe. Some comes from. When something is awesome. Really, not it's awesome. Oh, this pizza is awesome. And I'm not talking about that. But when you have an experience which is awesome, it's coming out of knowing. So there's a book, it's called the Book of Job, about this guy. Was a very righteous guy. However, he got this calamity after calamity. And he's like saying, God, tell me why. Why? Why? My life is so miserable, I wish I was not born. Tell me why. He complains the whole book. It's a whole book of complaining. Very wise, like amazing, the language is wise. And then it says, Vayan Elohim et Iyov min hasa'ara. And God answers Job from the storm. And what he says, God, to Job is like, where were you? Efo hayita biyosdi haaretz. Where were you when I established the universe? Do you know how this system is being run? Do you know how intricate it is? Whatever happens, take my word, everything happens for a reason. And Job gets it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, I get it. I love you, I love the universe, I love my life. I know that everything is for a reason. What's the result? Whatever he lost, he gets back. But now in a different mode. Why? Because it's all about that. It's all about that. It's all about, says the Zohar, the moment I'm hating my wife, I'm hating my partner, I am hating somebody that I think, my logic tells me, they hurt me. They're responsible for my hurt. At that moment, I'm bad-mouthing the creation. I just read this research recently that during the last decades, science is becoming very, very, very full of knowledge, right? In some areas in science, all the knowledge is doubled every 2 years. Okay? It means that we know double that we knew 2 years ago. We know 4 times that we knew 4 years ago, and so on and so forth. But we know half of what we are going to know in 2 years from now. We know 1/4 of what we're going to know in 4 years from now. We know 1/8 of what we're going to know in 6 years from now, or 1 part of 16 of what we're going to know in 8 years from now. Do you get it? How much do we know? But scientists started to realize, when I was a kid and I was crazy about Isaac Asimov. He was a great science fiction writer, amazing, one of the biggest ever. And he wrote that amazing article that says, where is everybody? So if scientists are saying that this is what it takes to get a planet with life and intelligence, there's supposed to be only now Milky Way billions of planets like this. And by average, supposedly, most of them started before us. Who knows, maybe millions, hundreds of millions, billions of years ago. Before us. They're supposed to be running through the universe. The universe should be teemed with life, intelligent life. We should be had visitation by aliens like all the time. Where is everybody? Where is everybody? And I read this research like it was a few days ago, that says, no, it's not enough that the planet will be close enough to that sun, so there's going to be water. They thought it's the only condition. No, they found there's more conditions. And it seems to be that it's so intricate that the chances that these conditions, like if you know statistics, it's 1 of times 1 of times 1 of, because you need that condition, that condition, that condition, that condition, that condition. Otherwise, there's no life. The chances are slim to none. So you understand that somehow managing this earth and bringing it to a place of intelligence on the level of free will, that's a very, very high maintenance. A lot of things have to work properly in order for that to happen. It's not just by chance. It's not just by evolution. It's not what they thought. They still teach us, most of the books in the schools, they didn't update them for the last century, I think. Maybe 70 years. Science has advanced so much, and people still study stuff that was thought to be right that time. I remember when I was studying biology, the brain never changes after 20. Only deteriorates. That was in 1990. Everybody was sure that was part of the curriculum. After 1990, what a myth, what a stupidity. That was based on nothing. There's so many, all kinds of superstitions, science I'm talking about. Everybody knows it. What do you mean everybody knows? What's the proof? No proofs. Just we assume. Oh, I remember as a science student, coming to my professor with the question, that's the way it is. So that's the way, are you a rabbi or something? I thought you're a professor. Because it felt, the dogma was so strong. So let's go back. We understand, says the Zohar, that the universe is so wisely brought together. And that's why the Zohar says, if you do not study Kabbalah, you will never develop the consciousness to understand how intricate everything is how wise everything is, and that everything that happens has its place. There are no coincidences whatsoever. Everything is so orchestrated. It's like somebody will listen to one of these greatest symphonies, and he will think these are frogs that got together, and by coincidence they made up this symphony. No, it doesn't happen this way. And if you see all these symphonies and the rhythm and the intricate structure, and just a second, but the composer, was it a logical procedure that he created the composition? No, he just got it. Where did he get it from? He got it from the same place. All kinds of other stuff were vented in. That's why it's called invention, to vent it in. You have to vet it in from where? From out of the box. Out of the box. When you're stuck in the box, that's very stupid, suffocating. When you study Kabbalah, says the Zohar, you start to realize how everything is put together. You understand that everything has one purpose, to bring us to happiness. Even those painful moments. How? You know, that's what you study Kabbalah. So now that you understand that, and we come to Deuteronomy chapter 26, and it says, "Vaya Ki-Tavo la'aretz asher Hashem Elokecha noten lecha nachala." When you come to the land that God, your Lord, is giving you to inherit, and you settle over there, then you take the beginning of every fruit and you offer it to the Creator. Why? Same thing when you have a child, the first-born child, boy, it belongs to God. Why? You know how it is? You work so hard, and the first fruit, what do you want to do? You want to buy it. You want to experience. How did you get it? No, I worked very hard. Everybody's working hard gets results. Yeah? How many people do you know that work very hard, but they work the wrong way? They're not lucky. And, okay, you're born not lucky. The Torah teaches us luck is not something of, again, it's not playing dice. And by the way, when Niels Bohr and Einstein were arguing about the quantum physics, and Einstein said, "I don't believe that God plays dice." And Niels Bohr says, God will do whatever he wants, and if he wants to play dice, he's going to play dice. That's, you're not going to tell God what to do, what's the right thing to do or not. But still, Einstein was right in a way. God is not playing dice. Everything that rules, we are the dice, respectively to him, because we can choose on or we can choose off. That's our free will. Does God know what we're going to choose? That's a big question in theology. Thousands of years sages are dealing with it. Where's the answer? The answer, he knows both, because it's above our choices. We are limited. God has all the choices made already. We choose only which path to go through. But for God, all the paths already exist because he created them. You cannot choose a path he didn't create. So whatever path you are, that's the path leading to what you need. Okay? You want to fight it? You're going to waste your time. Just, this is the path I have to be on. This is what I have to do. And I'll do it the best. And you know what? When you choose the light, and you don't badmouth the creation, and you say, whatever I need is right in the now. The people that I meet, the emotions they stir in me, all of this is right for me. That's why I'm here. When I figure it out, I can move on. And when I taste it, when I badmouth it, who am I hurting? Only myself. Only myself. So when you have an undeveloped state of mind, consciousness, everything looks unjust. Like reading a newspaper. For most people, they get upset all the time. Why? They don't see there's a bigger picture. They don't understand that that's how things have to go through. That society needs to go through stages. People individually have to go through stages, and whatever happens to us is what has to happen to us. And if we don't learn, we don't take the lesson, we have to go through it again. And it's only for our best, for our own best. Why do I have to go through it again? Because I didn't pick it up in the first time. So I get a second round, and a third round, and a fourth round. It's like, why is it happening to me all over again? I've been to this movie already. You didn't figure it out in the first time. You have a second chance, third chance, fourth chance, till you do it right. 20 times, 30 times, till you're simply doing it right. Why? The universe is all created for one purpose. So we do it right. By free choice. So we earn it. Okay, so we own it. So the moment you're bad-mouthing reality, it's like you have, God, I would do it better. Oh yeah? How much, brain power do you have? Right? Relatively to the brains of the whole universe. And you can figure it out, right? You can figure it out. Meanwhile, the universe is running somehow, I'm not saying it's pretty well, because people go through a lot of misery, but that's how we wanted it. We wanted to have it on our own. Okay? And we're moving forward. Humanity is better than it used to be 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago. The world is changing very fast. Instead of fighting it, just be part of the change. Gandhi? Be part of the change. Be the change you want to happen. And how do you do it? By becoming spiritual. Instead of wasting time and energy of criticizing the creation, that's wrong and this is wrong. It's like you could have done it better. Okay, what are you going to do with it right now to make it better? Otherwise, criticizing is so humiliating the soul, your soul. So then, the Torah continues, chapter 26, it's all about blessings. You're coming to the land God is giving you. Remember, it's not yours. Everything is from God. What is yours is your attitude. It is yours. God cannot force an attitude upon you. All the rest, that's His creation. But attitude, that's your choice. And attitude makes a difference. Terrible attitude gets you terrible life, terrible luck, terrible relationships. Positive attitude gives you amazing life, amazing relationships, and when good luck knocks on your door, you'll be there because you have the right attitude. So it's all about developing an attitude. That's nothing but that. So let's skip it because there's a lot of stuff and it's like beautiful sentences over here. But let's go to that part that is the curses. It says all of this, but you have to remember there's a warning before that. In the end of chapter 27, there's a weird story about when you come to the promised land, you have to go to Mount Gerizim and Mount Ebal, the mountain of the curse, the mountain of the blessing. And again, like last week, why should you have in previous weeks? Why should you have blessing and a curse? Give me only a blessing. Without free will, life is stupid. Terrible. We need free will. We need to feel the free will. Okay? So that preparing us, there's an amount of curses and an amount of blessing, so you know it's all about free will. It's all about choosing between the curse and the blessing. However, when we come to the curses, that's on chapter 28, verse 1. והיה אם שמוע תשמע בקול השם אלוקיך, לשמור ולעשות כל מצוותיו. It's like a summary. If you listen, you follow, you just do what it says in this book, and you follow it. You have the recipe. What? Everything will go amazing. And it is an amazing set of blessings over here. But if you don't, then the most horrible curses are coming. 53 verses of terrible curses. You want to know how to curse? Here it is. Here it is. Stuff that is like, okay? And what happened? Tradition developed into this tradition or this custom that usually in the synagogue nobody wants to be called to that reading. Who wants to read the curses? So who gets it? The guy who's reading it anyway. You have to be there anyway, so you're going to read it. So he's going to be called, he's going to be doing the blessings and to read it. It's one thing. Another thing, he read it very low voice. It's like you think, God, my God, our God, that loves us and so on. It's like, your father cursed you so terribly, you're ashamed that he did it. It's like, but Father, I love you, my Father, I honor you, but I'm so ashamed for you that you behave this way. So people read it with a very low voice. But there's a halacha, there's a rule. Everybody in the synagogue has to hear every word. So if you read it silently, nobody can hear. So so what's first, tradition or the law? The law is much more important than tradition, right? So it's like, but my father speaks like this. I can't. Maybe we, close the windows so nobody hears. The neighbors might hear that. What a shame for the family, right? But you don't understand your father. You don't respect your father. You don't really think he loves you. That's what the Zohar says. That's why you're ashamed of him. You think that he really is upset. Dad, you're upset. I'm not upset. I care for you. You have to realize that I'm saying something from the bottom of my heart. I'm not upset. I love you and you're not listening. And I care for you. And I'm worried what you're going to do with yourself. And what comes from the heart goes to the heart. But the question, how do you do that? So here, what do we do with these curses? Because these curses, it looks like, bring a terrible message to the people who don't understand. And the Zohar gives that. If you're going to look in the Zohar for that, you won't find it. Ki-Tavo. You have to look in Zohar Chadash. Zohar Chadash is like, it's part of the Zohar that were not published in the first publishing. It's like manuscript that were found later. So they were printed separately, and only later on, Rabbi Ashlag, he put it together to be printed as one bulk. So you have to look, if you have Zohar Sulam, you have to look at the end. When you see the whole parashot, start all over again, but it's much smaller portions. Okay? And then you find in Zohar Chadash, Parashat Ki-Tavo. And there's a story over there. And the story is like, to make it short. Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai, Azalei ve'arak lematbera delut. The story we know, that Rabbi Shimon ran away from the Romans, they wanted to kill him, and he hid in a cave, and there was a miracle. Spring came out, so he had water, and a carob tree grew overnight, so he had food. The carobs, for 13 years he ate carobs. There's a secret behind it, by the way. Why carobs? It's like overcoming judgments, because they symbolize judgment. But I'm not going to go into it right now, because it's too much. Okay. And now it says, one day, Yom Echad Avu Chakimaya Bevei Midresha Shoalim. One day, the wise men were in the academy, and they were discussing the issue of these curses. And what was worrying them was that there are two places with curses, we said, one in Leviticus, one here. And they said that the curses in Leviticus were focused on the destruction of the first temple, while the curses in here, they're focused on the destruction of the second temple. Now remember, this story happens about 70 years after the destruction of the second temple. So that's already after the second rebellion. The first rebellion, the temple in Jerusalem was totally destroyed. The second rebellion, after the first rebellion, a lot of people say, oh, the Jews went to exile in the destruction of the temple. Wrong. Only Jerusalem. We can find archaeologically that the whole area around Jerusalem, tens of miles to the north and to the south, was heavily populated with Jewish people, with an amazing flourishing culture and civilization till the rebellion of Bar Kokhba, 135 CE. That rebellion was a blow, because from that moment on you don't see any Jewish settlements in the area. That was erased. Either they were killed or sold to slavery. Okay? and the Jewish center of population moved to the Galilee. That was only after the second rebellion. Now the Galilee was heavily populated with Jewish people, and there was a lot of Jewish life and academies in the Galilee. There were few rebellions, 8 more rebellions, till the Muslims took over the country, that the Jewish population was really in a low place, only a few 100,000. That we're talking about 7th century. But the country did not become desolate, but they were worried. We're talking about 70 years after the destruction of the temple. And the sages are saying, in the first set of curses in Leviticus, there are promises and prophecies. Don't worry, I will never forget you. You'll go to exile, but you'll come back. I will never leave you over there. And you know, when the Jews went to the exile, Jerusalem went to exile in the Babylonian exile, that's 586 BCE. Jeremiah, the prophet, said before, that exile will be 70 years, no more. And 70 years later, the second temple was built. That it says that there were people present during the dedication of the second temple. They remember being kids, seeing the first one, and they were crying. Because the first one was King Solomon's temple. It was beautiful, big, luxurious. The second one was kind of, only a few tens of thousands of Jews came back from Babylon. All the rest, they had very nice jobs already. They had like amazing fashion business on 7th Avenue, right? 47th Street was like really a lot of Jews. They didn't want to leave their businesses over there and the real estate. So only, you know, the poor ones were sent to Israel. Okay, they didn't, you don't really have a job, go to Israel. Okay, build the temple. So there was not so much money. 70 years later, the temple didn't look very well. Okay, so with the crying. Only Herods later on fixed it a few centuries later. Still, they're saying right now, we are 70 years after the destruction of the second temple. We don't see any future. It looks there, it's just going down the hill. Just going, the Romans are fierce, they were never stronger at that time. And Emperor Adrian erased Jerusalem and built a new city, he called it Ilia Capitolina. He made it, Jews were not allowed there only on the night of Av. The day of the destruction of the temple, Jews were allowed to come to Jerusalem to mourn the destruction, and all the new inhabitants of Jerusalem will come and mock them and spit on them and humiliate them. That's how it looked like. And the sages were saying, they were Tanaim, they were saying, like, in these curses, in Parashat Ki-Tavo, there are no promises, there's no hope, there are no prophecies about a better future. You're looking there like, how long would that take, this exile? Are we just done, finished? And they were crying. Come Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, stances, Oi, you know what's Oi? That we lost Rabbi Shimon, we don't know where he is, and if somebody knows where he is, he's not allowed to tell, because the Romans put a death sentence on his head. So he was hiding in a cave. That's how terrible it was. So, but then the Zohar continues. Verse 4 in the Zohar of Parashat Ki-Tavo in Zohar Chadash. Rabbi Yossi bar Rabbi Yehuda, Kam yom echad b'boker, he woke up one day, and he saw a lot of birds. He said, and he saw a dove. And he says to the dove, Dear dove, you're the symbol of Israel, of faithfulness. You're the dove of Noah. Come over, I have a message for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So the dove came down, stood in front of him. He wrote the question. He gave it to the dove, and the dove carried it to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, to his cave. That's how the story goes. Rabbi Shimon reads the letter, and he cried. Him, who Rabbi Elazar Brei, him and his Rabbi Elazar, his son. ואמר בכיין על פרישותנה מן חברי, I'm crying because I'm away from my friends. ובכיין על מילין אלינו, I'm crying about these things The light gonna, because we have no idea what is the answer to this question. Do we have hope? We're going to a long, painful exile. Do we have hope? We don't know the answer. And if my friend, he says, ובכן על מילין אילן דלית גליין להו, מה יעבדון דרי בתראי, אי ישגיחון בהי. If my friends, the great Tanaim, who wrote the Mishnah and the Zohar, cannot figure it out, what does it mean? And there are such great sages, what will do the last generations when they're not going to be so righteous and they're not going to be so wise? How would they be able to face this question? How long? How long? And how would this be going to be end? The suffering, the misery, the injustice. How long? So he's crying. בתוך כך בא אליהו ז"ל. As he's crying, Elijah the prophet comes to Rabbi Shimon. You know, Elijah the prophet has this nature, he comes to visit whenever he's being needed. Not every time you know it's Elijah the prophet, but after he's gone, maybe that was Elijah the prophet, that there was nobody here. Okay, so Elijah said, I was away in another mission, but God said to me, Rabbi Shimon is crying, go fast, you have to appease him. And he says to him, look, he says, this is not the time to tell, to decipher that story to the righteous people even. It's not the time. And Elijah goes, and but before that he says, I want to tell you, God said this way. The first exile was because of idol worshipping. The Israelites were doing idol worshipping, it was in the hidden ways. Because idol worshipping is a state of mind. And that's why there are 32, they transgressed 32 paths of wisdom, which the Torah is based on. And that's why there are 32 verses describing the curses of the destruction of the first temple. However, because the sins were hidden, in the hidden way, that's why the redemption was revealed. However, the Israelites, the Jews of the Second Temple time, what was the reason? That's the cause of the destruction? Hatred for no reason. And what's the whole Torah standing on one foot? Love others as you love yourself. So hatred is just like, that was against the whole Torah. That's why it's transgressing as all 53 portions of the Torah. And that's why there are 53 verses in this, with the curses of Parashat Ki-Tavo. So, and that's why, because it was done in the open, the murdering, the killing, the hatred of each other, the fights, the quarrels for nothing, for no reason, that was in the opening. Everybody could see that. That's why, because it was revealed, the transgression, that's why the redemption is concealed. The first one, the transgression was concealed, so the redemption was revealed. Here, the sin was revealed, so that the redemption is concealed. Now, בתוך כך עבר רוח אחד והפריד ביניהם, ועלה אליהו בגלגל של אש. A wind came, and Elijah went up to heaven in a circle of fire, like he used to. Okay. Rabbi Shimon continued to cry. He was crying so bitterly, he fell asleep while crying. Elijah comes again. Wake up, Rabbi Shimon. Wake up. אשרי חלקך. Happy is your share. שהקדוש ברוך הוא רוצה בכבודך. The Creator wants to respect you, to honor you. And that's why he sends you the true answer. And through Rabbi Shimon to us. כל ההבטחות והנחמות של ישראל כתובים באלו הקללות. All the promises, all the redemptions, the secret of redemption are written in the curses. It's just a matter of the way you look at them. It's just a switch, something you do in your mind. You know, sometimes you look at the picture, you know, all of these pictures with the optical illusions. You look at the picture, it looks like one thing, and then suddenly, poof, it turns into another picture. I didn't see that in the first place. How come? You know, there's a big area of tests. You see this, then you see this. In the internet, you have like, you know, some people see it purple, some people see it green. You look at it, suddenly it becomes green, and it was purple before. It was purple, it becomes green, it was... What's that? It's the switch inside. The switch between on and off, between right and wrong, between light and darkness. This is when we find that switch. We have a total control over our lives. As long as we don't find that switch, we'll feel powerless, and then what we do? Just to badmouth creation, because it's everybody's fault. You can't take responsibility if you don't have any, you don't know where's the steering wheel. You don't know there's a steering wheel. So what do? You just blame everyone. Out of total ignorance. That's how it is. So he says like this, come and see. מלך שאהב את בנו, אף על פי שקיללו והיכהו אהבת מאב עליו. There's a king, he loves his son. The son is doing something wrong. He yells, he screams at his son. He hates him? No, he loves him. He cares about him, that's why he screams. You know, sometimes somebody screams at you and you know he loves you. And you feel the love. You're not getting insulted. More than that, you're just like, what should I do to make you stop screaming and shouting? I know you love me. I love you too. What can I do to stop that from happening? You know, it's not always. Sometimes we get screaming at some people that we love because they hurt us. We don't scream because we love them. We scream because we're hurt. That will get you the wrong results. They don't listen to you. Why? You're coming from the wrong place. You don't want to share with them. You want to share with them your pain. You know, I'm feeling painful. If he feels painful, now it's going to be less. No, it doesn't happen this way. Right? Misery likes company. Sage is saying, Tzarat rabim chatzi nechamat tipshim. If your misery becoming everybody's misery, that's a consolation for the fools. Doesn't work. Okay? And he says, all of these curses in Parashat Ki-Tavo are from a lot of love. You have to look at it from this place. בכללות האלו שבמשנה תורה יש דין ואהבה. There's judgment, but there's a lot of love. כאב אוהב בנו, like a father that really loves his son. He wants him to get the message. He's holding the belt to hit him with his belt. He's yelling, he's screaming, but he does it with love. He really loves. If you don't love, you know, I once had this amazing teacher many, many years ago. He told me a story about that it was 1948. He lived at that time in Ramat Gan, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv. He had a little boy that loved adventures, and the boy was 8 years old, and he loved just to walk. But then there was a war. The war was everywhere. One day he can't find the boy. He cannot find the boy. He's looking around, he's screaming, he's yelling, going around the neighborhood. Can't find the boy. Where's the boy? Somebody comes from the police department. It was 1948. Not everybody had phones. And they say, we got a phone call from the police department in Rishon LeZion that your son is there. Now, if you understand how, whoever knows the time, he said, the boy walked from Ramat Gan to Rishon LeZion, while all the way in between Ramat Gan and Rishon LeZion was a war zone. He walked through the war zone. So they said to him, look, we cannot bring you the boy right now because we need a convoy of armored vehicles from Rishon LeZion to Tel Aviv, and then from Rishon LeZion to Ramat Gan. And that will take a few days to bring the boy. So he's saying like, I have to tell him it's wrong. That's a miracle, he survived. It's a miracle nobody caught him. It's a miracle they didn't kill him. Like, what a miracle, he went through the war zone, the front lines, and he's alive. I have to tell him, I have to yell at him, I have to punish him, but then, but you cannot punish him if you don't love him. It took 3 days till they brought the boy. 3 days he said, this guy, when I knew him, was in his 80s. He said, 3 days I was walking. Okay, so I made it. I have to yell at him, but it has to be out of love. I have to, so I have to convince myself that I love him. And how much do I love him? And how much do I really love him? And I meditated and I prayed for it. And I prayed to God. So I have that love. So when I yell at him, it will be only with love. After 3 days when the boy was brought home, I couldn't yell at him. I couldn't feel it's right. And you know what? He's already over 50. He has grandchildren of his own. He was okay. He's okay. I told him it's wrong. I said it with love, and I hugged him, and that was enough. He understood. I didn't have to yell at him. When you're coming from the right place, you would know what to do. Sometimes you have to scream. Sometimes you have to hug. Once I really upset my mother. I went away. I didn't come on time. She was really worried about me. No, I didn't go through the front lines, but when I came back, it was the only time she beat me. And I was so sorry for her that she's upset about me, all the way to beat me up. And I promise I'll never do it again, because how could I make her so mad to beat me up? I was not hurt because she did it out of love. I was not hurt that she beat me up. I was just sorry, how could I do it to her? Okay? So, what the Zohar is saying, all of these curses are with love. Because if you made something wrong, you have to make amends. You have to fix it. And sometimes you have to go through stuff in order to fix it. And that's okay. If that's what I have to pay in order to gain the gain, so no pain, no gain. So that's a pain, that's a gain. And that's right, because I don't know how the universe is wired. But whatever happens, just if you get it with love, it's going to be much shorter to get to the point you need to get. You don't need, term 1, term 2, term 3, till you pass the test. Till you finally make the miracle, because that's in Hebrew. Test is nisayon. It doesn't mean a test. It means make a miracle, nes, to fly up and above. When you fly up and above, finally you made the miracle. Sometimes you have, in business, you're an apprentice. You've been given a challenge, and you try to solve tomorrow's problem with yesterday's solutions. Doesn't work. How can I solve tomorrow's problem with yesterday's solutions? You have just to get out of yourself. You have to get out of the box. That's the only way. You can't use yesterday's logic for tomorrow's solutions. So, but when you're really, really stressed out, cornered, and you really believe there is a solution, then you make this hop. Then you really make this like quantum leap, and then, wow, it was there all the time in front of my eyes. And suddenly it's kalei kalut, it's so easy. Wow, it's so easy. No, it's not. After you did it, after you made the hop, the jump, the quantum leap, now it's easy. How come nobody sees that? Oh, because they didn't pay the price. They can see it. They will see it when they pay the price. That's why it's a quantum. You need to pay the amount. If you pay half the amount, you don't get half the price. 3/4 of the amount, that's not enough. You need 99%. No. If you learn quantum mechanics, you need 100% of the price, you get the merchandise. You don't put it up front, you don't get it. Sorry, that's how it works. Right? You pay, you want something you like so much. You want to buy it online. Okay? So you pay 99% of the price. Would you get the product? No. No, it won't take your gift. Why? Because it's not built for that. You have to pay the price. Then the whole system will start. Okay, we are shipping it, we're packing it, we're shipping it. It's on the way, tracking number, all of this stuff. But you have to pay the price. One shekel less, $1, one penny. It doesn't take it. Oh, what a silly machine! It's only 1 cent less. It's not silly. That's how the universe is wired. You have to pay the price. And that's why it says, Yagata umatzata ta'amin. You put the effort, you'll find it. You didn't find it, you didn't put the effort. You put 99% of the effort. That's very nice. So put the 1% that is left. Well, what's wrong with that? Which means you have to believe in the system. So Rabbi Shimon is saying to Eliyahu Navi, how come all of these horrible curses are blessings? You have to reread them. You have to reread them with a different mind. Why? Because the whole what the Torah is about, training you to look at whatever is happening to you with a different mind. If you come from the point of view that everything is for the good, and everything is run by the right, good manager. You know, how two people bump into each other. Wow, what a small world. No. A friend of mine said, it's not a small world, there's a good manager. I had this couple of friends. They found each other in India. Wow, two Israelis in India. That's a huge continent. And after they found each other and they fell in love, they found out that they live both in Givatayim in the same building, door in front of each other. But they never met each other in Givatayim. Each one got out and in and out only when the other was not there. They never saw each other. They had to go all the way to India to find each other. What are you talking about it? What are the chances to? It's all about matchmaking. It's all about matchmaking. Somebody's running the system. And that you have to realize that. So, and that we're coming to the most important part. So Rabbi Shimon says to Eliyahu Navi, you know, I don't get it. And Eliyahu says, look, if you go to the worst curse of them all, this is in chapter 28, verse 61. Okay? And it says over there, every Israeli knows this curse by heart, because he's used it probably many times in his life. And this curse says, it's like when it comes to like, it's beyond anything you know. It's so terrible. You say, this is Makkah shelo ktuva b'Torah. This is a plague that is not even written in the Torah. It's taken from verse 61 in chapter 28. And it says as follows. Gam kol choli. I'm first giving you the traditional, simple translation into English. Because it doesn't work in English, it works only in Hebrew. So the way usually translated in the translations into English Bibles, it says, Gam kol choli vekol makah in the Hebrew, asher lo katuv b'sefer HaTorah hazot, ya'alem Hashem alecha ad yishamdach. Translation. That's how everybody translates. And also every disease, after all of the list of all these calamities and curses, in addition to that, all kinds of diseases and all kinds of blows and plagues that are not written in this book of the Torah, God will bring upon you till you're being exterminated. This is the worst. So Elijah says to Rabbi Shimon, look again how it's written. Change your mindset. Switch it. It's with love. It's with love. It's for healing. Read it again. If you read it again. And also all disease and all blows and plagues that are not written in this Sefer Torah. Ya'alem means to conceal, not to bring upon you. You know how it is? Your brain is waiting to hear something, so you just already hear it. But that's not what's written over here. It says concealed. Ya'alem is not to bring upon you. Ya'alem means to conceal from you. You will never be destroyed. You'll never be exterminated, because God will cover it up so it will never happen. It looks like the biggest curse, and it is a huge promise. It's just simple, just read the text. That's what it says. What happened? This is what you have to train ourselves. The purpose of studying Torah is not to know what the law is. The purpose of studying Torah is not to know history. You want to know the law? Read Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch is a book of laws. You know, Rabbi Yosef Karo, everything is written very simply. Even today, there are summaries that are even more simple than that. You won't get all the laws from the Torah. No, you'll study that in one purpose, to change your mindset. When you know that everything is for the good, you see the good in everything. And you know what happens? When you see the good in everything, the uncertainty principle says, the way that you measure it, that's the way it becomes. It's all about superposition. It's like when you learn quantum physics. The moment you know it's good, it's going to be good. So, it goes like this in the next few verses also. And the Zohar will skip a little bit, but it says, and the worst of them all is in verse 66, when it says, "Vayu chayecha tluim lecha mineged, ופחדת לילה ויומם ולא תאמין בחייך." And your life will be hanging on a limb. You'll be afraid day and night. You'll never believe in yourself, in your life. That's called being in exile. You have no idea who's going to kill you next, who is going to rob you, who is going to abuse you, who is going to discriminate you, who's going to, Jewish communities, people where you live in a place, you think you're doing something for the community, suddenly a whim, somebody says something, when Ferdinand and Isabella, Spain, 1492, brought out that decree that all the Jews have to get out of Spain by July 30th that year, which was the 9th of Av. Their main ministers in the government were Jewish. Jews were they were the government. They were the main officers. They were running the country. The country was dependent on them. Everywhere. Economy, science, literature, they were everywhere. That's the last thing they could think about. It's like he hit them in the middle of daylight. And they had to leave. Nothing helped. They were shocked. 1933, Germany. There were so many Jews in Germany, they believed they are Germans. I read his research talking about it. Somebody said that his father was working in a bank in Jerusalem in the early 40s. And there was a just German Jew who would come every month and give and he was wiring 1/3 of his income to Germany to help the war machine of Germany, because that's my fatherland. He couldn't get out of the idea that this is my country. There were so many German Jews who committed suicide in the concentration camps because they saw themselves Germans. What I'm doing with these dirty Jews? Out of the blue. Now, 2,000 years of history like this. You think you're settled and then poof, everything's gone. That's your life is hanging on a limb. Or you can read it differently. Vayu chayecha tluim lecha mineged. And the consciousness of the tree of life will be always in front of you. So as long as you focus on that, whatever happens, you'll get out of it. That's the only way you can explain how, with so many persecutions and killings and abuse and discrimination, we made it up to here. There's no logical explanation. Nobody went through so much and survived. And that's a lesson to each one of us. When you are focused, when you train your mind to be always focusing on the tree of life, whatever happens to you, you always come out stronger, richer, with experience, with power. Everything, every round will get you in a higher place. And all of this to prepare us for Rosh Hashanah. Because when you come to Rosh Hashanah with that consciousness, what's the hindrance? What's the biggest problem? That the God is giving us endless life, livelihood, whatever. And we block it because we have complaints. You know, on the outside, God, please give me a good year. But on the inside, why did you let that person steal from me? Why did you allow that person to hurt me? Why did you allow that person to step on me, to insult me, to drive me away, to take away, blah, 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 blah. We're complaining. We're coming with blame and hurt to Rosh Hashanah. We're bad-mouthing the creation. And you can't bad-mouth the creation and at the same time get all of this bliss. It's like, you can't. You have to forgive and forget and let it in and let God and let go. Let go and let God. First you have to let go of the blame. Yeah, I blame that person, but I really blame God. I really blame the creation. I really blame that it's not right. It's not right what was done to me. Yes, it was right. And you'll see it. One day you will see it was right. You don't want to see it after you die. You better see it before you die, right? Because then after you die, say, let me prove it. This time I'm going to do it right. Send me again. What do you think we're doing over here? Because we wanted to come. We wanted them to send us again. So here we are again. You know, how many times you already given that opportunity to see the good? To see it was all for the good. But you need to switch. You need to control your consciousness for that. Because you have to own it. Why does it have to be so bitter? Yeah, it's so bitter because when you turn it to sweet, wow, the feeling is so great. If you just get it sweet up front, you can't appreciate it. You're mezazel. You can't appreciate it. Too sweet. It's like, I don't want it. Why? That's so great. No. Why you don't want it? Because you can't stand having it, because it's a free gift. So whatever we go through is to get us bigger, stronger, more positive. The only thing is to get the right, and Parashat Ki-Tavo is about that switch. Either it's going to be so painful till you say enough is enough. I'm not going to that negativity anymore. I'm going to see everything positive. Why? Because the pain was so great, insisting about the negativity. Being a victim is for free. It's so easy. Everybody does it. Deciding to be a winner, to take part in the creation of a better world, that you need to choose that again and again every second. That's tough. But the reward is, you start to see things. You start to see the wrongdoings, and you know this is also part of the right. You see the bitter, and you know this is part of the sweet. You can't split between them. Shana Tova to everyone. Shavua Tov. And I wish everyone to do the great job, so by Rosh Hashanah we'll leave all the curses behind us and the blessings can come in.
Amen.
Thank you.